In this video, we are going to look at posts from the auction site. The auction site says that Forrest Fenn's treasure chest was moved from the original spot. This coincides with what Forrest said. The treasure had not moved from the original spot, where I hid it, in more than 10 years. The auction site alludes to two different locations, and talks about Schrodinger's cat experiment. Essentially, the auction site is saying that the chest could be in either location simultaneously, until Forrest chooses to say in which location it was found. In quantum physics, until something is defined, it remains in a superposition, so the chest was in a state of quantum flux, superposition, until Forrest decided to move it to an area along the Madison. What state was the treasure in? In quantum physics, the chest was in all states simultaneously. Basically, this means that the chest could move anywhere within the search area. The ending is a cover-up, a conspiracy, and Forrest's grandson Shiloh knows it. On May 3, 2020, Shiloh said, "No conspiracy in my opinion, haha." Okay, let's have a look at Schrodinger's cat experiment.
What is Schrodinger's cat? Schrodinger's cat refers to a thought experiment proposed by the renowned physicist Erwin Schrödinger, who used it to illustrate the weirdness of quantum theory. Quantum theory says that until a particle is measured and observed, it actually exists in all the states it could possibly be in, simultaneously. So if there is a statistical probability that this particle could be found here in one state, here in another state, here in another state, and here in another state, then the particle will in fact be existing in all of those states at once. This is referred to as the particle being in a superposition. When the particle is measured, the superposition collapses and the particle chooses one state to be in over all of the others, and this is the state that our measuring instrument will observe. If this is true, then it should apply to larger objects since all matter is made up of particles. But of course, we know that that does not happen. We observe larger objects occupying only one state. Schrödinger came up with the cat example to bring home just how odd the behavior of particles as described by quantum theory is. In this experiment, a cat is placed in a covered box with a radioactive sample that has a 50% chance of decaying and killing the cat. While the box is covered, we have no idea if the cat is dead or alive, and only once we open the box will we know if the cat made it or not. So if we think of the cat like a particle, using the superposition principle, we would say that while the box was covered and the cat was not being observed, the cat was both dead and alive in order for it to be in all the states it could possibly be in. Only when we lifted the box to observe the cat, that is, once we carried out our act of measurement, did the cat's superposition collapse for it to be either dead or alive. Common sense tells us that before we uncovered the box, the cat was either dead or alive, but not both at the same time, and our act of observing didn't force one outcome over the other. But common sense is not something that we can cling on to when studying the quantum realm. Countless experiments have shown us that subatomic particles behave in strange ways that we don't observe in larger matter. There is a theory called the many worlds theory that states that anything that can happen does happen. So when Schrödinger's cat was observed, in one universe the cat was found to be dead, and in another universe the cat was found to be alive. The theory explains it like this. When the cat was in the covered box, it was in the superposition of being both dead and alive. When the box was uncovered, a split in the universe occurred, where in one universe the cat was dead and in another the cat was alive. The implications of this are mind-boggling. Every time there is one or more possible option available for the universe splits and creates copies where all possible outcomes come true. So for example, there could be a world where Hitler won World War II, a world where mankind never made it to the moon, and a world where penicillin was never discovered. There could also theoretically be worlds that are much more advanced than us, a world where humans have been able to glimpse further and deeper into the workings of the universe and have been able to achieve immortality. If that was the case, then every person has achieved quantum immortality in one alternate reality or another.
Okay, let's examine the auction website more in depth. This was an interesting post, posted on the site after the treasure was found. To all who have participated in the chase, We wish you all the best with your future adventures. There will be other treasures waiting to be found, and the last time I checked, even the whereabouts of the Ark of the Covenant were still unclear. At this time, we feel it is still our spot too, and who knows, that might never change. We left something, so if you find the spot you'll know, and by the way it will cover your expenses, if that is what you thought. Leave us a note as we will be around. No need to make extra arrangements. Did you notice the word cover? A hint to the fact that the end is a cover-up. Here's another interesting post from the auction site. The chest has already been found in late August 2019. While it is still within the borders of the type of land it was originally placed by Mr. Fenn, the chest has been temporarily moved from its original location. In this post on March 4, 2020 they use the term finder and business. This is very interesting, because the same language was used by Douglas Preston and Forrest Fenn after the find. You will hear the word finder and business. A finder in business is someone who brings two different parties together. It's essentially a middleman, a go-between, a medium. March 4, 2020. Thank you for all your questions so far. I have been asked by the finders who want to remain anonymous, at this time, to include a question and answer on this website, to address those questions which are more typical than others. Whatever your specific question might be, feel free to contact me, and I will get back to you as soon as I have the answer. This can always take several business days, so please bear with me. The finder would be the middleman, the person who found Jack and introduced him to Forrest Fenn. This person would be Douglas Preston. Listen to this post from the auction site. All we can say is that we have a lot of respect for Mr. Fenn, having been able to withstand all those interrogations without being caught, and when close, to maintain his calm and use the right words. We always start to sweat however when Mr. Preston enters the room. Here's another post from March 9, 2020. Question: why did you move the treasure to a different location and not take it home with you? Answer: there is several reasons. The most relevant is that we wanted to make absolutely sure whatever we do is legal, before we take any action. The problem with whatever we do or even omit, is the pending risk of a lawsuit or attorney fees, nobody is reimbursing. Here is another very interesting post from the auction site, alluding to the fact that the chest was moved, and the find staged. Question: on the YouTube channel A Gypsy's Kiss, a caller recently confirmed the treasure is not at the location anymore. That proves you right, doesn't it? Answer: as much as we like the idea, Richard, it actually doesn't. We don't know the solve of this individual and he or she might be right or wrong. This searcher can only confirm that on the perceived treasure location, was no treasure. That location does not necessarily coincide with the location we found the treasure. Again, we like your support but it doesn't prove us right. Let's unpack this next statement, on the auction site, posted on April 14 of 2020, a very interesting post. Erwin Schrödinger didn't say that the cat is both dead and alive. He rather pointed out that quantum theory and the real world are two different, and not necessarily compatible realms. Widespread misinterpretation of his thought experiment by pseudoscientists made the acceptance of quantum theory less popular, with no avail. Comparing a Benjamin with an item from the chest is also not helpful, but it points out beautifully that having the bracelet doesn't mean having the chest. Like having a Benjamin doesn't mean you own the Fed. Isn't it funny that if the finder would disappear with the chest, even Forrest Fenn would be unable to prove that he ever hid it? What would you believe is true? If the finder would get a solve approved by Mr. Fenn, but states that there was no treasure, would you believe there was no treasure, or would you believe more than one party made it to the location? At the end of the day, whatever you think is true, will be true for you, like with everything else in life. Please also note that the way I referred to the finder was made intentionally to uphold the argument even if you disagree with the claim. On April 22, 2019 the auction website posted a link to a movie titled Fake. The main actor is named Daniel Jacker. This is a dead giveaway to Jack Stoof. In the movie, which is about forging paintings, it says, "In the end, if they'll never know, if they never find out, then, is it really fake?"